This pair of fig trees are ready to go in the ground. Each has a fig growing for the first time, and I hope these will ripen later in the season. These fig trees are approximately 4 feet tall and are 5 years old in this bucket. And now they are going to have a permanent spot in my garden. But just how did they get to this stage? In this video, we are going to go right back to day 1, right back to the day I propagated these trees from stick cuttings. 5 years in just 6 minutes. Back in March 2021, a neighbour a few doors down was cutting his fig tree and offered me a few branches. The previous year I had tasted figs from that tree and they were very good, so I accepted them and immediately set out to propagate them. My YouTube channel was in its very early days, but this would make for a good video and I set about recording the process. I began by showing 4 approaches to stick propagation. Method 1 is placing a stick cutting in a bottle with some water, and then terminating the top of the bottle and cutting with cling film. Now this is a tall cutting of over 21 inches going into a fizzy drink bottle. There was about 200 millilitres of water in the bottle, and the tip of the cutting is intact. The cling film is quite difficult to put on, but it is worth the effort to get this on properly to make a good airtight seal. The termination tells the cutting which way to grow. The top part in the open air should grow leaves and branches. The bottom part of the cutting, exposed to the water and humidity, should start to grow roots. Remember this as cutting number 1. Method 2 entails placing a whole cutting in a bottle with some water and screw the lid back on to fully enclose it. The cutting doesn't know which way to grow, so it should put out roots along its entire body length. For method 3, I placed the cutting in an open-ended bottle. The cutting is simply put into an open bottle with some water. The water keeps the cutting alive whilst it roots at the bottom. The bottom will create enough of a humid atmosphere for the cutting to root. Lastly, in method 4, I wrapped 2 cuttings in wet newspaper and enclosed them in a plastic bag. All the bag has to do is retain sufficient moisture until the cuttings root. Remember these as cuttings 4 and 5. With the sticks prepared, it was now just a matter of waiting. Having left them for 7 weeks, it was time to review the cuttings and see if they had rooted. Cutting number 1 in the green bottle did really well, producing some good roots and, surprisingly, a couple of branches inside the bottle. Having removed the cutting from the bottle, I planted it in one corner of this large square bucket. The whole bottle cutting in method 2 did produce roots along its whole length. It also produced a green bud. This also went into the bucket. Cutting number 3 from method 3 was a little disappointing, but it could still progress, so that went in as well. And lastly, from method 4, cuttings 4 and 5, when unwrapped from the newspaper, were spectacular in the amount of roots they had produced. Here, cutting number 5 was particularly impressive. They all went into the one bucket, and the bucket was then discharged to the garden. They began to quickly progress through the rest of 2021 and through 2022. However, through 2023 and 2024, I was unable to do any garden work and the trees fell into neglect. They were on their own. While I wasn't looking, 3 of the cuttings had died off. This left cutting number 1 and cutting number 5, which I was easily able to determine from their positions in the bucket. Last year was much better, and with lots of attention and watering, they once again progressed. Which brings us to today. The trunks are healthy, as is the foliage. So now it's time to get these planted. This spot is by the corner of my garage, just behind my F2 fig tree. As I get the base out of the bucket, I can see that it is strongly root bound, but I'm not going to free the roots. It can take its time and settle in over the next few years. These trees will have plenty of time to grow now. Now just to complete the backfill and levelling. Lastly, a really thorough watering to settle the trees into their new home. I've propagated over 60 fig trees in the last 15 years and given most of them away. But these are the first that I've propagated and planted into my own garden, so these will give me great satisfaction to watch them grow and produce over the coming years. Thanks for watching, and see you again next time.